Welcome back to another video. So regardless of why you're here, regardless of where you found me, whether you're just curious, whether we know each other, whether you're a client, whether you're not a client, whether you don't like me or whatever it is, I just want to say thank you for really being here and watching this video that I've created for you and some of the things that I want to share with you watching and listening right now. And I say that because our time on this planet is really precious, if you're aware of that. But the time and energy that you put into things is really valuable. Where people are putting time and energy into things that I see doesn't really serve them. And before I get started on the topic and what we're actually going to be talking about today, I want to share something that happened recently, and often I receive these kind of comments, so it's not completely abnormal. But I received a message from someone saying that they don't like the content that I share. It is interesting because I operate an open door policy. If someone doesn't like the content that I share and doesn't like these videos, then you don't have to be here. And I would also invite you to think about other areas of your life where you're consuming perhaps a social media platform, you're following someone, you have apps on your phone, and you don't want to be there. Or you're using that time to focus on what is bad or what's negative in your life. This can be the case if you're reaching out to someone that you don't like and you're just there to express your own pain onto that person. The invitation I have for you is to think about whether that is a really valuable use of your time and your energy whilst you're here on this planet. I know for me, to speak from my own experience, is that, for example, I have a lot of space on my phone because I'm very intentional with the apps that I have on there. If I don't use an app, I simply remove it. I follow people where I actually engage and learn things from their content, or there's a reason that I follow them. For example, one of my hobbies is that I love belly dancing. It's something that I got into a few years ago now, and so I'm learning to belly dance. It's amazing. More on that in another video. But I follow belly dancers because it's valuable for me and my learning as a belly dancer. It's enjoyable, it makes sense to me, as you probably tell in my energy, right? I invite you to think about areas of your life where you're spending a lot of time and energy on things that don't really serve you. So with that being said, if this is not something that serves you, then feel free to click off. You have complete sovereignty in that, and that's something else to talk about in another video. So with that being said, I have recorded a very similar video to this in the past, and I want to give a kind of updated version of this video because there's things that I've seen that have changed since in my work with men, and this will help you. Just to say as well is that if I'm looking down and obviously have my pen in my hand, it's because I've wrote some of the main points that I want to talk about today. Because if I was to really just be in flow and be on TikTok Live, for example, then I'd be here for a really long time. And I don't want to make this a 2-hour YouTube video, which I know I could, but I'm choosing not to do that today. Okay, so the first thing that I see that would really help you to be better with women in your relationships and in your dating experiences, the first thing that I see is ability to be okay with whatever you feel. And more specifically, can you be okay with knowing that you'll be hurt again, that you'll experience some level of pain? Now, this is a question that I often ask men, and I've also asked women. Sometimes they'll say yes, and sometimes they'll say no. But the thing that I want you to hear for yourself is, if you cannot be okay with knowing that you will experience, as a human being, you'll experience some form of suffering, should we say? I know that's a very inflammatory word, but some form of pain and hurt in your life, then yeah, you may as well just deuces, see you later. I mean, that's a bit of a joke, but what I mean by that is, how can you live your life like that? How is that even possible? How can you navigate your human existence by denying yourself of experiencing that? Because there's so much gold in that. So I think that's the first point, is okay with whatever you feel. Being okay with knowing that you'll feel hurt again. You'll feel some level of pain and suffering in your life. Because if you can be really okay with that, then that allows you to show up in a really loving and powerful way. And it also allows you not to hold back when it comes to your experiences with women. Because another thing that I see a lot of the time is where men are holding back from loving her and really experiencing her, because there's the belief that she's going to leave, or this is not something that is going to continue. Second thing, I'm going to leave the third thing that I believe is the most important thing to the last point. The second thing is leaving any experiences that you've had in the past. So what I mean by this is, a common thing that I also see is where men have experienced things in the past. So let's say, for example, a woman cheating on them, whether it be in a marriage or whether it be in a relationship, and they're then telling themselves, okay, I'm going to be single forever, and screw women suck, etc., etc. They're forming this story, this narrative in their minds. Or the second thing that they're doing is they're going into interactions and they're holding that hostage over themselves, which then is much more likely for them to create those experiences, because in their mind they've already decided that it's going to happen, that this woman is going to cheat on me, this woman is going to cheat on me, this woman is going to cheat on me. And when you place that thinking onto a woman, into a dating relationship experience, then, as I said, more likely to create it. And the other thing as well that I often see is where you're having these experiences and they've been painful and you're not letting go of them. Something that I really see is that men can often find this very difficult to do, because they've had those experiences. You're not allowing yourself to see the lessons. You're not allowing yourself to really learn what you want from a relationship and learn how you want to feel in a relationship, because that's the key. Our experience is through what we're feeling. The more that you can just take the lessons from what you experienced in the past and use that as your navigation into any other experiences with women. And I see something that I really see is that men can often find this very difficult to do, because they've had those experiences. They have their protection up, and the protection is if I allow myself not to get not get hurt, then I'm not going to get hurt. Great. So I'll just keep my protection up. But that's also not allowing you to connect with a woman. That's not allowing you to experience the feelings that you can really deeply, beautifully experience within a relationship. So connection and love and joy and all these beautiful things that you're here to experience as a human being. You might be wondering, how do I leave my experiences in the past? Well, it's not really a how to here. And this is something that often ask me, okay, well, how do I do that? There's no how to in this. It's really see that anything that's happened to you in the past, it can only be almost recreated through your thinking about it. It's not to say, just don't think about it, but it's really seeing that you cannot go back to the past. It's not something that you can redo. For my example, is I understand that everything that I've experienced, and let's be specific with relationships, I cannot go back and re-experience, nor would I want to. That's something that is, in essence, this may sound a bit dramatic, but to me, this is how I describe it for myself, is that those experiences are dead. Those experiences can only exist with my thinking about it. And something that I heard from a coach that I love called Maven Khan is how beautiful to know that a memory cannot harm us. What a wonderful thing to recognize is that simply experience and a memory. So if I'm sitting here and thinking about a memory that's happened in the past, it cannot truly harm me. So take that, you know, like if this is something that resonates in what I'm sharing here and you have difficulty leaving these experiences that you've had through women or your marriage or whatever you've been through, whatever you've experienced in the past, really see for yourself that it's something that you can change. It's not something that you can undo. As far as I know, you can't use a time machine and go back into the past and change anything. So what can you learn from it? And how can you really be in the now of your life? I'm going to share with you the third thing, which is actually the most important thing. The biggest thing that's really going to help you to be better with women, one thing, is being okay and liking yourself. That is the number one thing. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that. People often ask me, they'll say, well, why does it matter that if I'm to really have better, more loving, more fun, more connected experiences, dating, relationship experiences, why do I need to like myself? Why do I need to be okay with myself? And the biggest thing is everything in our life is a mirror. Relationships are a mirror. So something that I've really seen for myself as a woman is any time that I've been with a man that only afterwards I could see that didn't like and accept who he is, then it harms the relationship. And it's actually a reflection of the parts of myself where I'm not liking and accepting myself. And that's been great learning for me, is okay, why would I be with this person where they're not really at peace with themselves? Because that's really reflecting a part of myself where I'm not at peace with myself. Be wondering like, okay, well, how do I be at peace with myself? How do I like and accept myself? I often do this when I'm coaching men one-on-one, is we really explore and deep dive the thinking and beliefs that he has about himself. So a common belief that I often hear from men and women is I'm not good enough. It would really be helpful if I spoke about this whole belief in itself of I'm not good enough in a separate video. Going back to the thinking and beliefs is look at the reflect on all the thinking and the beliefs that you hold to be true about yourself. And you can take a pen and paper, even if you want to pause the video and do this right now, take a pen and paper and really think about what you believe to be true about yourself. And also something that might be helpful is to reflect on your relationship and dating experiences that you've had with women or any other experiences with women, and really get brutally honest with yourself. If this is something that you really want to change, get brutally honest with yourself and ask yourself, how did I co-create those relationship and dating experiences? What is the thinking and beliefs that I held on and believed to be true about myself, which were creating the relationship and dating experiences and my experiences with women? And I just want to explain a little bit more about why this is powerful. Because when you transform this, when you really see that I am good enough, there's no such thing as being good enough. It's just something that we've just created. We're just living from these stories. It's not the depth, it's not the truth of who we are. When we live from who we really are, which is love and compassion and joy and all these other beautiful things, that's when I can really show up in a loving way. And I'm not putting my fear and abandonment and all these other things onto my relationship and onto all the other experiences in my life. Biggest thing. And once you shift that, everything else changes. Because interestingly enough, there's tactics and techniques that is taught to men around how to be better with women. And sometimes I see these things and I don't really see how that's helpful. And it's fair enough that they're on that journey. That's great. And I hope it's helpful for them. But at the core of all this is for you to really be at peace with yourself and to be okay with yourself. Because also, guess what? Once you're okay with yourself, that energy exudes. She really feels that. I really say this from personal experience, is that in my current relationship, I feel there's just an intuition, there's just a feeling, a really strong feeling, which was instant as soon as we met, of this person is really okay with themselves, really at peace with themselves, really, truly. that just makes the relationship so much more beautiful. If you're out and about and you're with women and running this story of I'm not good enough, and you're believing all of that thinking, once you shift that, then you can just be yourself. Because I know that for all of you guys listening, watching right now, I know that you've heard many times, oh, just be yourself. And that's not very helpful, right? Because you have all this noise, you have all this thinking of I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy and I'm not this or I'm not that in comparison to her, which then leaves you feeling insecure, which makes you hold back from perhaps going on a date with her or being in a relationship with her. I'm gonna keep this video short. I'm gonna complete this. There's so much more I could still say, but as I said at the start of this video, I want to keep this as compact and concise as possible. Those are the 3 points. So if you have any questions, if there's anything that you want to ask me, then feel free to send me a message on wherever found me, whether it be through Instagram or through TikTok or wherever. And I'll be very happy to have a conversation with you about this and talk to you about what's really holding you back from your experiences with women, because this is something that you don't have to struggle with. You can have these great experiences with women, and it doesn't have to come from manipulation tactics. It doesn't have to come from any techniques or anything like that. It really comes down to what you think about yourself and the way that you view yourself, and that's what's really going to transform everything. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for being here.